got Quinn Ewers, and I think this will be a good one just to kind of hear your perspective as a former quarterback. But he upsets the apple cart a little bit. Five-star recruit out of the state of Texas. He was seen by many recruiting services as the second best QB prospect ever rated besides Vince Young. Commits to Ohio State. During his senior year, has the opportunity to do some brand endorsement, brand ambassador type stuff with name, image, and likeness. And the Texas high school football governing body said, no, you can't do that as a high school athlete. And so he said, all right, well, I only got one class left. I'm going to take my little English class and I'm going to head up to Columbus. So he would be entering his senior season this year, decides that he's going to reclassify, enroll at Ohio State. And now this kind of recruiting world, this high school football world, this college football world is all upside down.
Yeah. So first off, Quinn Ewers is one of the kids. I try not to pay a ton of attention to recruiting. Goes back a long ways with my parents and my high school coach, and just in terms of how I approach the process. But I did get a chance to watch this kid a few times, and I think he's really, really special. And I've said this to a lot of people. When he gets to Ohio State, it's going to be a problem for that conference for 3 years. And I think he's a generational type player. I think he is. But moving forward with that, I think with the whole NIL and how all this thing is kind of played out, and I think a lot of decisions were made without really thinking through, I'm completely for it. I think these players should have that ability, personally. But to your point, I don't think anybody foresaw this being an issue. And when this actually becomes an issue and somebody makes a decision like this, now you're kind of peeling back the layers of this onion, and there's hurdles that people have to jump over. So I think personally for him, I don't know the kid personally. I know a few people who work with him and who have said nothing but great things about the kid. But he, I don't think this is a money thing. I think it was just the fact that he felt like he had the right to do some of these things. And when the Texas high school organization or whatever it is that runs the high school sports there didn't allow him to do that and set those things in place, I think he made a decision that, he felt was best for him and his family. So, tip my hat. But, the bigger conversation to what you hinted at is, now what's next?
And I need to hear the quarterback's perspective on this, because I look at Ohio State's quarterback room. You got CJ Stroud, who people think is going to be the starter this year, former 5-star guy. You've got Jack Miller, who's a former 4-star. He's from Arizona. Kyle McCord is a former 5-star, came in from the state of Pennsylvania. And then you've got Quinn Ewers, who's enrolling right now, 5-star. All these guys have freshman eligibility. None of them have thrown a pass in a college football game. There's some real issues in terms of development for Ohio State staff and trying to keep all those guys engaged. But now you have a roster management issue too, where you have to make sure that you can keep at least 2 of the 4 guys on campus for a couple of years just to make sure you have a succession plan. If you're a quarterback in that room and you're seeing all of the stars that are in there, you're seeing what kind of competition it is, how do you think this type of thing pans out, where you've got Stroud and Miller, who've been in the program for a couple of years now, but they got freshman eligibility, Kyle McCord, true freshman? Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely tough. And fortunately for a lot of these kids now, in the way that college athletics is going, which I am personally not a big fan of, I think the ability for kids, I see it from both sides, which is hard. But the ability for kids to just up and leave and then go somewhere else and immediately go, like, good for them. But me being, again, the way I was brought up, you pick a decision and you make it, you stick with it, and you deal with the lumps. And I live that. So I don't have to really talk about that much. But it's, for me, I think that it breeds, hopefully, if Ohio State can do it, and I think Ohio State has been one of the programs who has been able to do it historically. I think Alabama's another one, where they are bringing kids in, and that competition is breeding really, really good products. And a lot of these kids understand the succession line, and it's my turn, and if I just pay my dues and I do this, right? So I think out of all the programs in the Big Ten, I think Ohio State is one of them that can get away with this just because of what they've done consistently over and over again, right? But to your point, there will be one of those kids that one or two of those kids are going to go leave and try to go play.
There's a chance 3 of them could, and that's, I mean, worst case scenario, but I mean, it's crowded.
I completely agree with you. And just that ability for kids to leave has, I think, created a thought process with a lot of these coaches in terms of spreading these things out in succession lines. Not taking a quarterback every year, trying to take a quarterback every 2 or 3 years, even.
Right.
They've been thinking about that now for the past few years. But, with this room, like I said, I mean, and you said, a lot of these kids have a lot of things. But as I've said before, I personally believe Ewers is unbelievably talented. And I know Ryan Day. He was in San Fran when I was coming out. I met with the guy a few times. Love his mind. Obviously, what he's done over and over again up there for the past, 4 years? It speaks for itself. So I think if anybody can handle it, he can handle it. But I think for Quinn personally coming in, I did the same thing. I didn't early enroll. I came in the summer. So, I mean, I was even on campus a couple years before him. Or a couple months before him. But that's a tough adjustment. You get thrown into the fire, and if you're not in an environment where you can necessarily get given a ton of reps, being able to catch up to the speed of things and adjust to the system and what you're being asked to do can be a little bit difficult. So he's definitely going to be behind the 8 ball, and I hope his talent can make up for it personally. But I think for the time being, there's got to be a really good plan specifically with him in terms of how they're going to be able to keep him there and give him the reps that he needs and figure all that out. And it's going to be ultimately up to Coach Day.
Okay, so let's talk about that though, because you're a guy who's coaching quarterbacks right now. You were a guy who played quarterback at an extremely high level, started as a true freshman. What is the best plan to have in place when you have a young quarterback that's brand new to get him game ready?
Yeah, well, I mean, realistically, this kid should be playing high school football this year.
Right.
Realistically speaking. So, to give him an opportunity to redshirt and not have to rush, I think it would be wise for Quinn to listen to it. And I think that would be a big thing for the Ohio State staff to push on him. Let him get comfortable. As we've seen, for the most part, Ohio State finds themselves in situations where they can get guys reps. They're up big. They're giving these second and third team guys opportunities to get some tape out there, get their feet.
Well, and now you can play in 4 games and still redshirt too.
Correct. So I think it's one of those situations where if the kid comes on and does what I think he's capable of doing, you're going to feel the pressure to play him. But to your point, he can get some reps. He missed spring ball, but he can get some reps this fall, and you can still redshirt him and then really let them go at it next year. Like I said, I don't think for Ohio State, whoever they roll out there is going to be successful. And that's been time proven in terms of the last 10 years, really rolling back there. I mean, but making sure that it's the most conducive situation. And I think it's really I think it's a 2-year plan. I think it's setting up for next off season. And then you're going to find your guy. You're going to find your guy who's going to run it for 3 years and do what they need to do. And then let everything fall in line the way it needs to fall in line. But that's my opinion. And I really do think that it would be the best thing for him to redshirt and just take it slow, feed him reps, dirty show scrimmages, whatever it may be, but just get him acclimated and let him go. And if he ends up being the best guy, let him play.
Right.
But, with everything that's stacked against him and having been in that situation, he's going to have to mature very, 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 very fast. And it's the coach's job not to put him in a situation where he's going to fail.
I agree. And there's no way in my mind too, if you're Quinn Ewers, like you could have made the decision to forego your senior year and believe that you were going to be the starting quarterback year 1. So that redshirt conversation, I think, is exactly what it needs to be. I think in Columbus, that's probably where the staff wants it to be too. Just so they can get a little bit more distance between the guys and they can be on a little bit more of a developmental plan. I'll ask you this before we get to our final segment, but Kyle McCord, 5-star guy from Pennsylvania. Let's say CJ Stroud gets the job like most people think he's going to. How quickly is James Franklin and his staff reaching out to Kyle's high school coach to see where he's at? Because you got was my boy Clifford over there.
Yep.
And he's been fine, but he's going to be on his way out. Like, you need that generational guy probably at quarterback to come in, get a 5-star who was once in state, transferred from Ohio State, and see what happens there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it should be an option. I think just seeing what has transpired at Penn State the last few years. You had Levis leave. He got some reps. He was kind of up and down. Clifford was a little up and down last year. There's been a lot of change over there. And for a guy who went through, a system change in college, and then has been through quite a few system changes. That is tough. And consistency from that usually breeds consistency in play, especially at the quarterback position.
For sure.
So I think for Coach Franklin and the guys up there, to your point, finding the answer after Clifford is going to be the biggest question. And I know that they have the one kid from Ohio, Alar, coming in, Drew.
Yeah.
And I've heard great things about him. Haven't been able to watch a lot of his stuff, but have heard a lot of good things. So to your point, though, getting somebody like McCord in there, he was a St. Joe's prep kid.
Yep.
Right outside of Philly. Ironically, down here in South Jersey, you hear a lot of people talking about that because it's so close. And there was a lot of people that said a lot of good things about him in the high school coaching world.
Yeah.
So, I think it's definitely something they should pursue. And they've missed out on some big guys in the past, with Fields and Wimbush and the guys right after me. So I think it'd be good to get somebody like that in there, specifically at that position, because I think that's been the biggest missing piece.
Yeah.
Has been that guy at that position, basically after myself and Trace left, and just making it consistent. Clifford's been great. I love Cliff.
Right.
He battled through everything and
he's gutsy, man.
Really well. He's gutsy as heck. But really, really planning for a guy that can be there for 3 years and be consistent and be a rock, I think is big.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, you've had the running back room on lock. The running backs don't do well without a really good offensive line. You've had some phenomenal receivers who could change the game. And the defense has always been pretty good. It's about that 5-star guy that you can get in there that can really just take over the game, close out a drive, whatever you need. So that'll be something interesting to watch.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you liked what you saw here, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment. Interactions like that really do help grow the channel, and they help more people like you find this content. So if you liked what you saw here today and you want to help me out, that's all you got to do. See you on the next video.